Okay, well, hello there, and how you doing? Happy Monday. We hope you had a great weekend. It's been a little while since we've checked in with you, so we wanted to say hello and get you up to speed on what we're going. My apologies in advance here because I've given away the headset to someone who needed one a little bit more than I did, and I'm waiting for a new headset to come. So the mic and the vocals might not be as isolated as we're used to. But hopefully we can push on through. Plus, there's some background noise. They're doing some work here in my apartment complex out there. It looks like they're tearing down a fence and the vegetation that was around it, some vines and weeds and things. It's been about a year actually. This is just a tangent right now. But about a year ago, a tornado came through, and my complex, my neighborhood was kind of on the fringe of it, but the fence didn't do so well. But it's just kind of been holding on to life for the past year or a little bit more than a year now. But looks like that's coming to an end, and the fence is being removed, and it appears that it will be replaced by a new fence. So I'm sure you were all glad to have that information, but. Since last we spoke, we've had quite a bit going on, and we want to just call your attention to some of it and some of the ways that you can connect with us and receive information from us. One of those being our Discord platform. Yeah, I don't even know what you're supposed to call those, but Discord is, something that I know is growing in use, and a lot of people are on it. Let's see if I can get the right share screen going here. Probably just the whole thing, I would guess. Boom. And there it is. I hope that you can see the Discord page. One of the things that we like to do is pull out these Workers' Comp 101. Now, you might have seen them on our LinkedIn. If you follow me on Substack, if you're in our community on Reddit, you've seen these Workers' Comp 101 things. So they're not unique to Discord, but we like to put them up there. And this was an interesting one because the case that it came from was also interesting. I think we'll circle over to that in a second. But it's something that you can imagine. A lot of people are frustrated, particularly if they have a workplace injury and they're trying to get it healed and they want to get back to work and they want to get back to their life. Their frustration will boil up, and sometimes that frustration is directed toward their treating physician, their doctor. And even if you haven't had a workplace injury, if you have something that they just can't get cleared up, you get frustrated. And again, one of those targets might be the doctor, fair or not. A lot of times it probably isn't fair, but it's only natural. If you go to a mechanic to fix your car, and if they can't fix your car, then you think there's something wrong with the mechanic. I guess that's a normal, maybe I shouldn't use the word normal, but that's a understandable reaction. You go to the doctor and the treatment's not working. Well, it has to be something wrong with the doctor because, it's not like I have this incurable case, right? Anyway, so this case way back in 2016 featured a worker who, excuse me, I have to take a sip of tea here. Um, was frustrated, as I've just described, and decided to take to social media to do it. Again, not something out of the range of uh, expected or typical behavior, maybe not the most professional thing, but people do that on social media, do they not? If you've been on social media, you see people ranting and raving about doctors, restaurants, and the like. So this is, something that's foreseeable, I guess. Of course, the doctor is saying, look, um, I don't want anything to do with this. Now the employer is jumping on it and saying, we're trying to get this, person medical treatment as we're required to do under the state's workers' compensation law, and we're getting a bad attitude in response, And so the employer is saying, well, we're in a situation where we don't need to keep providing this care. And the court, actually, this is the board in Tennessee says, well, okay. that's uh, all good and well, but employer, you still have to provide this medical care and treatment that the law requires. Just because the employee was disgruntled about it, and maybe the doctor physician, the patient doctor relationship wasn't so good, that doesn't change what the law requires for a worker who has experienced an injury for which medical benefits are required under the state's workers' comp law. So, why is that a case? Well, I mean, why are we interested in that? Why am I highlighting that? Well, it's kind of just interesting, because I think we can understand it, right? We can see someone getting frustrated with their doctor, going to Facebook, the doctor being like, "Whoa," and then the employer saying, "Whoa, what good is it? What good is it going to do here?" So, but we have a case that's a little bit more recent, and I'm going to have to. This, by the way, this is our latest stage snapshot that just got posted today, but it'll be up and in the newsletter for tomorrow, so you can check that out. But let's go to. I have to kind of dig back here. One of the easiest ways to find things on our site is if you know the author. If you don't, you can use the search tool, but I know that this is one that I removed. And so I wanted to go back there. And you can see what we've covered since last time. Uh, Items, related to the release of liability in Nebraska, AWW in Vermont, AWW in Maine, AWW in the average weekly wage in uh, northern New England states seemed to be a feature last week. But anyway, this was the case. Here's a Tennessee case. Worker for Lowe's gets injured when a shelf or something falls on her, and it's tough going to get kind of healed up, patched up, back at it. And eventually, she shows a picture to her doctor of Jesus and says he would be the only one to heal me, or something to that effect. Well, naturally, the doctor's kind of like, well, what can I do here if it's only call to the divine that's going to heal her? What am I supposed to do? And the employer jumps on that, just like the employer in that other case, and says, well, no, I mean, can't do it. But the court says, no, 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 and looks to that case and says, look, the law right here. The law provides that an injured employee shall accept the benefits according under the workers' compensation statute, but nothing in the law requires an employee to undergo optional medical treatment recommended by an authorized treating physician. So that's all the law says on that. It doesn't say anything about if she says, hey, only Jesus can heal me. Does that mean that she's not entitled to what the law has already said she's entitled to? Of course, it's absolutely not, because it wasn't an indication that she refused to accept the medical benefits. Maybe she was just opining on her hope in her condition or her hope in her treatment plan. But more than that, and the court didn't say that. I'm kind of reading those words in there. But and here's kind of the what it comes down to. While it was the physician's prerogative to end the doctor-patient relationship, and that may have been reasonable under the circumstances, it did not preclude the employee from receiving reasonable and necessary medical benefits causally related to the work injury to which she was entitled pursuant to the terms of the final judgment. So, her claim was adjudicated, and this is what she got. Her, kind of satisfaction or lack thereof with her physician did not affect that under the law. So, interesting kind of case there. And, there's the human element that I think we're often uh, quick to forget, but easily reminded of in the workers' compensation space. There's always a human element. These are very human stories, very human cases, and this one shows it. But the long and short of it is, please follow us on Discord or all our social media, and you can get to all of our social media right down here at the bottom of the page. We're on X, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, Facebook. I don't even have the Discord link up here. So that's, kind of our, uh, and TikTok. So maybe we'll get the Discord one up there. But if you're on Discord, go ahead and cruise on over and check us out. And something else that you can cruise on over to and check out, absolutely no cost, is a free week of Simply Research. And for example, you can find that summary, you can find that case, you can find more on Tennessee law, find more on workers' compensation law in whatever U.S. jurisdiction you're in. So to see if it's something that would be interesting to you or of use to you, log in, get the free trial going, and boom. We won't spam you, we won't bug you. We just want you to check it out. If you're interested, give us a shout. We'll help you get started with it. In the meantime, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks so much for spending your time with us. And I really hope that you have a wonderful week. And for those who want to hang on, I think we're going to do a poetry reading. Do you want to do a poetry reading? If you don't, you can go ahead and sign off now. It's fine. We're not, I think we're close enough. I don't know if I'm going to do another one of these before Halloween. So here it is, the Raven. So let's get this going again here. And I might as well share the screen again. So let's go ahead and do that in just a second after I get the text up here. Like I said, if this isn't interesting to you, you can go ahead and shut down now. But I think we're going to go ahead and do it. I think we're going to check out The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. It's October 27th. It feels like it's time for that. Halloween is upon us already, and I can't believe it. But hmm, and I don't think anyone that watched The Simpsons in the early 90s can ever think of this poem the same way again. But their treatment of it only has brought me more love for the words and how they sound, how they read. So happy Halloween to you. Be safe by all means. We'll try to do another one of these probably on Thursday. So, we'll try to touch back in on Thursday, and maybe we'll read it again. Who knows? But if we do, maybe that would be a good day for the Telltale Heart. Also a great Poe Halloween season poem. So let's go ahead and share what we can here. Boom, laugh. Kind of not real spooky here, kind of cute and cuddly. But if we got the cat with us, then all is good, right? Here we go. I'll try to do it and not stumble too much over the words. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the fair, rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here, forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So that now to still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thread is, and this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. The least obeisance made he, not a moment stopped or stayed he, but with the mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the grave and stern decorum of the countenance it wore, though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marveled this ungainly vow to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door with such a name as Nevermore. But the raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is its only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to linking fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant croaking nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the bow whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. And this and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining that the lamplight gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er he shall press nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfume from an unseen censer swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent me, by these angels he hath sent thee respite, respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh, quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, of bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still of bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell the soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aidenn it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird I forefiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust upon my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. The raven, nevermore. And the raven never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the screaming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight light o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful Halloween.